Feeling a little unsettled and stressed with the way things are in our world? Experience the peace of Jesus with Finding Peace, our 5-day devotional. Visit purposely.com to sign up. Purposely. Your life, God's purpose. Listen at purposely.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Gospel Tech Podcast. My name is Nathan Sutherland, and this podcast is dedicated to helping families love God and use tech. Today, we're going to begin a little mini-series on social media. This started as a back-to-school series, but there was a lot of information to cover. And the more I dug in, the more I realized we just need to have a good, intentional conversation for a few weeks about social media and the many facets of conversation that one topic can bring up. This conversation. Today, we're going to be talking about two questions specifically that I get asked quite a bit for just this first portion of the social media conversation. When is my child old enough to use social media? And how can we make it safe? I love these two parts of the conversation because they show a beautiful heart of a parent who wants to do a good job, who wants to give the best tech possible to his or her child, and an awareness that maybe not all tech at all ages for every child is a good idea. So let's start with first one. How old? There is some flexibility in this, but the short version is 16 years old. Social media in independent use, when we're trying to build those muscles of you're going to be an adult, so you should start trying some of this on your own, would be 16 if your child has shown that he or she is ready for it. We'll spend more time in a future episode on that, but your child needs to be faithful in little things before you throw them into the digital independence of the interwebs, which is not built for kids, was not built for developing brains, and is built for attention, retention, and specifically for monetizing your child who does not have a fully developed frontal cortex. And that's just a biological piece that helps your brain inhibit decisions. So you think, I should go chase that ball into the street, and then you think, but it's a street, I probably shouldn't. Your child just runs after it, until a disturbingly old age, into college, basically. And what social media is constantly doing is throwing a ball into the street for your child. So we're talking a lack of biological development in a frontal cortex with the child. 16 is then the first point in human development when your child is going to be old enough to be able to take some responsibility and some risks, still young enough to have plenty of runway before they leave your home or graduate, to learn where their personal limits are, to learn if this is something that helps them accomplish their goals, and to be under your purview so that you can feed truth and hope and light into their lives and still help hold them accountable. Because, a lot will go wrong in social media. And that's just anyone who's been on social media has seen it, has been there. The question is, all right, when it goes wrong, who do we tell? How do we process that? How do we discern which was our mistake and which was a mistake that just happened around us and we just happened to view it? Those are the conversations we're going to have. 16, I get that from Jonathan Haidt and his book, The Anxious Generation. I love that age because, as he points out, young people are forming their ideas of relationships and friendships up through age 14. So what's normal for a friend? What's normal for relationships? What's normal for attention? What's normal for feedback and jokes and conversation and value? We want them to set those standards at the pace of real life with people they actually know in conversations they have in person. People just act differently online. It's not always negative, but it is different. We are not always exactly the same as we are when we're face-to-face, and we want that face-to-face inhibition to be a part of our social learning, from the eye contact to the how do we take turns when speaking, to how do we focus on a single individual, like this person's talking to me, I'm now going to focus on them, not I have 6 text threads going or 6 message threads or a TikTok feed going while I'm, right? Those are advanced social skills that adults really struggle with, and I would argue are actually antithetical to the way God asks us to live, but many of us do it, and many of us struggle with it, but we have developed brains that are at least capable of inhibiting some bad behavior and reflecting on, that wasn't normal. I have a normalized sense of relationship, and this isn't normal. The point is, when is my child old enough? 16, because the brain will be more developed and social norms will be set. They'll know this is a good friendship. This is a loving relationship. That was mean when I said that. They'll have some of that. And frankly, they're going to get a chance to watch their friends fall on their faces. And by 16, there are some young people who are going to go, oh, yeah, I don't I don't want it. I don't need that in my life. So 16 is our earliest. What if, though, your child is in a friend group where everyone sets up hangouts on social media, or a phenomenal athlete and they need to be on Instagram or on some other app because this is how the scouts and the coaches communicate, or they're on an elite team and that they only use WhatsApp to set up practice times. Like, there are any number of opportunities that you do need social media before the age of 16. The brief answer to that is the parent hosts it and the kid can use it. Because when we're doing it with a profession in mind, specifically an athletic one, but sometimes it's Rocket Club or whatever it might be for you, when you're doing it with that in mind, there needs to be an adult involved, generally for the logistics, because the parent needs that info anyway. But also, you're putting on a brand, and we do not want your child's day-to-day as a 12 or 14 or 15-year-old to be thinking about building their adult brand. We want them to be children. And then at 16 is when the conversation starts to come on. All right, but is this a good choice for you? Are you ready for this? Again, conversation we'll dive into deeper on another day, but we need to ask it. And then we need to talk. Yes, if it's yes, how much do we give you? What sorts of boundaries do we put around to keep you safe as you learn your limits? Because we are seeing young people who are leaving for college use social media for a year or two and then go, you know what? Like, I'm in my 20s and I don't, or I guess that 19 or 20, I don't need social media to accomplish my goals. Like, it's distracting me from who I want to be. It's keeping me up later. It's building drama into my life. It's bringing temptation. It's generally not helping me accomplish my relational, my personal, my spiritual, my physical goals that I want. And even when I do, it makes me feel worse about what I've accomplished. So I don't need it. And if I need it, I'll use it through a browser on my computer or something. Like, I don't need this personalized experience that I thought was so important when I was in high school and everyone else was talking about it. Because a lot of people are doing their own things when they go to college or when they get a job or when they go on and get married. Like, they don't need that feeling of being on the in crowd as much anymore. And if they do, many of them can spot, well, I like that, and I don't like what it does. So we're going to roll this out. I've got a 16 or about to be 16-year-old, or I've got a 12-year-old who's into this sport or that activity or has this friend group, and we want to roll this out. How do we make it safe? Let's be clear. On its face, social media is not safe. It's not designed to be safe. It is not intended to be safe. Even when they make Instagram Kids, it's not safe. In fact, they design it for us as an organization of college age and recent college graduates who talk about legislation and do a lot of good research and work on how is tech designed and who is using it, and specifically demanding tech companies to make technology that actually supports the users rather than manipulates them. And so they made 10 Instagram Kids accounts with the ages of minors. And Instagram Kids is supposed to be Instagram, but filtered for children, default safety settings, etc. And they just noted in use, like, the kinds of things that would come across a feed, and they're inappropriate. They are blatantly sexual, either memes or GIFs or just content in itself. So memes and GIFs being the pictures and those little short repeating videos. It's not intended to be safe even when it's branded to kids. It is the internet. It is designed for attention retention. It's there to take your time, your focus, and your money, and that is inherently unsafe. They're going to give you whatever it takes to keep you a little bit longer. So what kind of limits then can we put on it? Something that's inherently unsafe. Well, the first limit is the limit of access. Like, is this a good idea to give this to a child? There's lots of things you can give your kids that are dangerous, from Nerf guns to bats to bows and arrows, and then escalating from there, vehicles, right? Like, there are things you can give your kids. Sometimes we have rules around them, like you have to wear a helmet, you have to wear a seatbelt. Like, there are rules that we have as a society because we've said, hey, we can't leave this up to you. The cost to society is too great. But what about limits for our technology? What do we do? Well, safe. When we talk about what tech do we give our kids, it needs to be safe, which is tool tech, no app store, no browser, and accountability baked right in. Again, you can hear that. Social media, not so great for any of those. It is not inherently safe. But what can you do? You can use as much of the tool tech side as possible of social media, the things that help you connect, even though the app itself is built for attention to keep you coming back. You can use it really deliberately. A nice way to keep social media as a tool, something you're using to create, is to use it for very specific amounts of time at a very specific time of day. By that, I mean, if I have what I do, we're creating a podcast right now, and I'm going to post this to social media, YouTube specifically. I will not just go check YouTube anytime I think about it. And if I do, it's always a net loss. But instead, we'll have specific times a day. Go, all right, for the next 15 minutes, I'm going to go upload things to YouTube, or 30 minutes, I'm going to go upload things to YouTube. That's enough time to get on there, to upload my videos, to type in my content, to schedule what I might need to schedule, even to view how have past videos been doing, where can we continue to grow, how can we continue to reach more people with these helpful resources, and then I can leave. Now, sometimes do I open it up meaning to click on, because I have to log in through normal person YouTube. And I would say 1 in 5 times I open YouTube, completely forget that I'm trying to check my videos or upload something, and get sucked immediately into a portal of uphill cycling races or something. And they're just always so good. Global Cycling Network, you know how to make content for my brain, and YouTube knows how to find my brain. That being said, we set times a day, say, I'm going to use social media to upload my latest sporting highlight reels, to check my messages from coaches, to check on practice, to talk with my friends. I'm going to do it between 4 and 4:30, and I'm going to only give myself 15 or 20 minutes. I'm going to use it, check what I have to. You can keep up on all the TikTok dances. You can keep up on all of your friends' latest info, all the funniest little clips in 15 to 20 minutes a day. Like you will have time to spare. If it's taking you longer than 30 minutes a day to use social media for tool purposes, you're using it wrong. You can do all of the creative parts off of the app for 9 out of 10 apps. And if there's one that locks you into using their app and they don't let you do anything outside of it, there are questions about, is this the best fit for a minor? So that's our first question, to use it as a tool. Then no apps, it is an app. I would encourage you though, a way to keep social media, if you go, but how can I keep it healthy? Use it in a browser. Use Instagram or TikTok or Snapchat in a browser. Go to their website on your phone or on your computer, and then use that experience. It is significantly worse. That's why it's easier to walk away from, which is immediately what makes it healthier. It's also easier to keep accountable. No internet, well, that's not a thing. So you're going to have the internet. Just know that if you have an app and it connects to the internet, you're going to have the rest of the internet as well. So take that into account. Make sure you're ready for your child to have some more unfettered internet use, even doing things like guided access where you can lock the phone down. Doesn't matter, because they have the entire internet. There's always Explorer and browser options. There are some parental controls you can set, but they're not bulletproof by any stretch of the imagination. The whole premise of social media is giving your child the internet in a way that's highly engaging. So last one is accountable. Again, using a browser instead of the app itself makes it more accountable. So if you were to use something like Custodio, or you were to use something like Covenant Eyes, you would be able to not just see that they went to Instagram, but you would be able to see the individual like visitations of they went to Instagram /Love God Use Tech. And you'd be like, oh, that's where they're going to checking out the Gospel Tech content. You'd be able to watch those and see links of where they leave. And in a browser, something like Covenant Eyes would even be able to give you feedback on the images and the videos that are coming up and give you talking points. So it could be, hey, you're crushing it. I love the way you're using social media. Seems like you're doing a really good job based on what I've been seeing. Is that accurate? Or you'd be like, hey, I've noticed this isn't morally wrong, but is it beneficial? Like, does it build up? Is this helpful content that we're engaging? And your child might say, you know what? I went on there for A and the feed just started giving me content. That's true sometimes. Sometimes your kid's curious and just wants to go search stuff up. And sometimes it comes through individuals they like and follow that post content that is unhelpful. So accountability is key, and using it in a browser instead of the app is going to be helpful. Using it on a device like a computer instead of a device like a phone will also be helpful, just from the accountability side. All right. Limits. How do we make social media more safe? We put limits around things like apps and times. Okay. Then location. Where do we use it? We do not use it in our personal rooms. I know that your child wants to be able to have communication with friends. If they want to FaceTime a friend and you can guided access that device, so FaceTime's the only thing they can use, cool. Bedrooms are meant to be places of rest. They're meant to be places of quiet and solitude and sleep. Sometimes places for studying. I know lots of kids in a small space. Sometimes you got to go to a room so that you can get enough focus to be able to think and accomplish a task. I get it. just know technology should not live in anyone's bedrooms. You shouldn't have TVs, gaming consoles, personal gaming devices, smartphones. No one needs $1,000 alarm clock. It just lets us have a little bit more natural cadence, have a location boundary. No bedrooms, no meal times. We're not going to use our devices when we're out at restaurants. We're not going to use our devices when we're sitting together at home. I would encourage you to shut off the TV when you're eating a meal. Don't watch sports. You're going to prioritize your family. They're a gift from God, and mealtime is a time throughout all of human history when people come together and share their words and share their thoughts and ask their questions, or if you have to, sit in silence. But you don't have to. Get some conversation cards. You can do something as simple as, I'm forgetting I literally have them in the other room right now. I just didn't write it down. That Swedish conversation card. Conversation starting cards. Our kids were asking the other day, some of them are like meant for adults, not in a bad way, but like, when did you first meet? Like those kinds of questions. But some of them are like, what's the best dream you've ever had? What would your perfect day be? Our children love the question of what animal would you be? Hadley likes to ask that one. We will let them each pick a question. We reward them sometimes with chocolate chips. If you ask a question, you get a chocolate chip. If someone asks you a question and you give them an answer and a follow-up detail, you get another chocolate chip. Thanks, Nicole, for that, by the way. My sister's idea to do that. And it works. My children can be bribed with sweets, and I'm fully willing to bribe in order to get healthy habits built in. Location, time, we've mentioned this already, but how long, when, and how often. How long can you use this technology? So for social media, max of 30 minutes a day. I would put it much less than that. I think you can do it in 10 to 15 minutes, especially if you're using it daily. But how often do we get to use it, and for how long? So do I get to use it every other day? Do I get to use it on specific, just Monday, Wednesday, Fridays? Like, how does this work for social media time with my friends? We know I'm not going to let this stay in my bedroom. There's going to be some kind of accountability on this device so that that child can go away knowing that they're not the only person who sees this stuff. That's helpful, but also that they're never alone, that they don't ever have to bear the weight and the shame of their own mistakes or mistakes that are made against them. Sometimes there's unsafe strangers. Sometimes there's friends who thought something would be funny and it wasn't, or it gets out of hand. Sometimes it's hard to self-report that stuff, or they don't even have the words to say what they're processing or dealing with. And so accountability helps you parent well in that. And then boundaries around the content and the people that they deal with. So what are we going to ingest? We need boundaries for that. So certainly you have the conversation about pornography and you say, hey, there are bodies that are made by God and our bodies are good. And there are people who use them in unsafe ways. You can take that from any conversational point you want, but I love the book, Good Pictures, Bad Pictures, and talking with youngers. We're talking 5 and 6 year olds. God made all of me and I said no. So those are 3 books. Good Pictures, Bad Pictures, God Made All of Me, I Said No, that teach you that your body is made by God and it's good, that God designed your body to give him glory and for your well-being and for your enjoyment in this life, that God gave you a good body and that he designed marriage for, yes, procreating, and as part of procreating to bring joy and union as a metaphor for what our relationship is with God, that as a good husband gives himself up and dies for his wife, so Jesus did for the church, and that when we end human history and begin eternity, that Jesus will be the bridegroom of the church, that everyone will be married to God in that union, that intimacy between a husband and a wife reflects and echoes. And you don't have to go into all that with your kids, but the point is the gospel points us through marital relationship to what eternity is going to be like, and that we want all of our ideas about our bodies and about sex and about intimacy to be accurate about what God tells us is true for ourselves, for our bodies, and for our relationships. The reason I bring all that up is the content we ingest speaks little subtle lies. It doesn't have to be blatant pornography. So I want you to have content that lets you talk positively about the body God made and put clear lines up for when we cross into lies. Like, hey, if there's someone being unkind with their body or to someone else's, you can always come tell me. Good Pictures, Bad Pictures says you say no, you turn away, and you go and tell a loving adult. And there's just a little script of mom or dad, when they name the location, I saw, and they just tell you whatever they saw. And it may or may not be what we would describe as something like pornography, of actual acts of sexual activity with naked people. Sometimes it's just something that makes them uncomfortable. Sometimes it was a crude joke. Sometimes it's just something that lodges in their brain and makes them think thoughts about themselves or about others that they're not comfortable with. We want to know that because Lord knows, pornography is not the only problem with the internet. There's plenty of self-harm content. There's plenty of mental health content. There's plenty of disordered eating content. Content that is not helpful and does not speak truth into your child's identity, into your child's life, into your child's purpose, into how God sees your child. So yes, address pornography and address the body in a greater big picture. Those were 3 books. God Made All of Me. I said no. And Good Pictures, Bad Pictures are all great starts. For older kids, there are some resources. You can just message me at Love God Use Tech or leave a comment in this video. Or you can reach out to me, Nathan, at gospeltech.net, and I can send you more of those resources. We're reading through some body books right now that go more into how do babies get made and those things. That is important. Those are important conversations to have. But with these boundaries, we then have content boundaries. So what are our expectations? What are God's expectations? Philippians 4:8 is a great spot to go with that, or Galatians 5:19 through 22, looking at the fruit of what comes out of our hearts, and then putting loving boundaries up. So it's not legalism to put in accountability, because I like making good decisions and I want a heart that yearns after God. And so I put in supports that help me do that, that help me think through my decisions because I don't always do what I want to do. So that's our content side. It helps explain, like, we're not just policing. Like, yeah, we're supporting your decisions right now, but the goal is we want you to see where your limits are. We want you to see what the internet wants for you, and then to make decisions on, is this where I need to be right now? If it is, what sort of accountability do I need to make sure I'm healthy and safe and that I am supported? And then what do I do when something goes off the rails? Like, that's the content part. There are things that are perfectly permissible as a Christian. So it's not morally wrong, but it may not be beneficial, from the songs we listen to the shows we watch, to the jokes we tell, to the games we play. Like, it's all wrapped up. It's all coming down to heart issues at some point. What am I wanting from this? Why am I going back to it? Is this something I can engage with a clear conscience in light of God and the ministry he's called me to love others and to see his kingdom come and his will be done? And then finally, I'll end on this: boundaries around the people we engage. There are strangers online, so people that will blatantly just say, I don't know you. Where do you live? How old are you? You want to be friends? A nice way to say this for young people is that adults should have adult friends. And if there's ever an adult who asks to be your friend, you come and get me, because I would love to meet them and be their friend. Now, we know that being a friend, part of it is to love someone, meaning choosing the highest good for them, which includes getting them the help they need. Like if they're an adult trying to befriend minors on the internet, we would get them the help they need by reporting it and by blocking them and by setting up safeguards to ensure they can't hurt others. But our children just need to know adults should be friends with adults. Then it comes to tricky accounts. This seems like an attractive young person who wants to be my friend. Okay, you don't know them. Do we befriend people that we don't know? You're going to want that boundary set up. We say no right now. We don't talk to people we don't know. Our accounts aren't set up to engage people we don't know. We have plenty of opportunities to love people in our community. If you need new people, we can get you new people. You don't need to go finding them on the internet, because some of those accounts are run by adults and they're tricky and they're creepy, and your child needs to be warned about something like pedophiles. In fact, I would argue if you can't say the word pornography and pedophile to your child, they are not ready for internet independence, because there are tricky adults and there are accounts that look like young people that will then approach your child and go, oh, you're super cute. I'm going to forward you unsolicited pictures that seem to be of me and sometimes not wearing all the clothing. And now we have this little romantic thing. You should send me pictures back. And then it's called sextortion. They send you effectively a ransom note and say, we will send this to everyone you know if you don't pay us X amount of money. By the way, if that does happen to you, do not send them money. Do make sure you've told your child that there's nothing they can do that makes you love them any less, or that makes them less valuable, that making a mistake online does not make them a mistake. Tell the authorities, report that to whatever social media platform you are on, and get out of Dodge, get offline. That is going to be your best option. It is much more important for your child to be healthy and relationally engaged than it is to avoid some kind of scandal at a young age. While we don't want that happening to anybody, we would rather have your child here alive and well and relationally connected. So do make sure you talk about those kinds of things when talking about strangers online, that we can't trust what accounts are actually people, that we need to be aware when people are overly aggressive, either relationally or sexually, when they're overly aggressive with platitudes and what would you call it? The word for giving someone a compliment. There we go. That is through modeling agencies. We're finding that there are digital traffickers who will go after young girls and be like, I can't believe you're so pretty. You're only 12. Hey, you should model for us. And they get images that way. And again, not all these images are inappropriate on their face, but they are sold to organizations that misuse them, either through AI, because they can now deepfake your child into something, or just because there's niche factions of individuals who are unsafe and unhelpful online. There's not tons of them, but there's enough that they have communities. And this is a thing that we can actually document and follow as they approach the accounts of minors. So when we're talking social media for young people, end of conversation part 1, when is my child old enough? 16. And before that, you're managing the accounts, you're walking through it. And after that, there's accountability and you're mitigating some of the burden of unsafe technology, specifically social media in this case, with boundaries and with time location and with conversations about content and with, I think I said time locations, but time and location boundaries, and then boundaries around the content and the people we engage. All right. At the end of today, my hope is that you understand why social media is an important conversation, because your kid's going to ask for it, their friends are engaged on it, and it's inherently unsafe. That 16 is a good starting age, and before that, they do not need internet independence. 2 years is plenty of time for them to learn the ropes of social media and be a functional adult who produces good fruit online or understands their limits and realizes this isn't for them. And accountability is always key. Not because you're scared of your child, but because the internet is inherently unsafe for children. So accountability is going to allow your child some level of relational support when they go out onto the internet that will actively fight them on good choices and on, mental health at large. Okay, so with that, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, Nathan@gospeltech.net, or on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at LoveGodUseTech. You can also check out more of our resources at gospeltech.net. And man, if you have any questions, I would love to hear them. Again, this series is going to be, we're going to keep going. Next time, we're going to be talking about how do we know if social media is a problem, and how do we know when our child's ready? Kind of two sides of the same coin there. So if they've already got it, is it working well? And if they haven't got it yet, how do I know that I can give it to them? We mentioned that at the beginning of this conversation. So I guess at this point, check us out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Write me any questions you've got, and join us next week as we continue this conversation about how we can love God and use tech.
Thanks for listening. We just wanted to take a minute to let you know that just like you and your family, Purposely is also part of a family, the Christa Family of Ministries. Christa helps kids and teens learn and grow in their faith at King Schools and Miracle Ranch Camp. And Christa shares Jesus with people in the poorest, most remote places through World Concern. Christa Senior Living is a community of love and care, and Christa Media is a place of hope on the radio. God is changing lives through these 5 ministries, and Christa is on mission to share the good news of Jesus. To learn more, visit Christa.org.